Good evening. We start out tonight with breaking news. A wildfire has sparked in Boulder County and evacuations are already underway. What is now known as the NCAR fire started just before 3 p.m. near the National Center for Atmospheric Research Laboratory in the Table Mesa area. We note that the fire is now 60 acres and that it is 0% contained. Now here's a map on your screen tweeted out by Boulder County where evacuations are in effect. Everyone in the shaded area needs to leave immediately. The CU Boulder South Campus is also being evacuated, and pre-evacuation warnings have gone out to the areas west of Highway 93, north of El Dorado Canyon State Park, east of Walker Ranch Open Space, and south of Greenbrier Boulevard. And we're learning now that Highway 93 south of Boulder is closed and authorities are asking drivers to avoid it. Also remember, if you see smoke nearby, that means it's time to leave. Now, the Boulder County Office of Emergency Management says the East Boulder Community Center at 5660 Sioux Drive is now open as an evacuation point. So if you're seeing smoke, if you're in one of those evacuation areas, be sure to head there. Evacuees can go there for more information and resources. And here are some pictures sent in to us by Denver 7 viewers of the fire. You can see that most of the smoke is not billowing upwards. It's actually going in a diagonal direction, meaning there are winds there. Scary part is embers pick up from point A, go to point B with those winds, and more fires, the spread of the fire could continue to grow. Now we have team coverage tonight on the NCAR fire. Let's start out with Denver 7's Rob Harris, who joins us live from Boulder County. Rob, what are we learning?
Yeah, and bear with us, guys. We're going to be a little bit shaky because we're going to move here in just about 60 seconds. We're expecting a press conference to learn even more up-to-date information. But as of about 10 minutes ago, I did talk to PIOs here on scene. They tell me that 60 acres about have burned so far, 0% containment, which is not good. But I do have some good news, which is there are no reported houses burned at this point. But I will step out of the way so you can see the line of firefighters right up there against smoke and some active flames there. They're just beyond this Table Mesa neighborhood. This is the neighborhood that's been evacuated, and so they're trying to keep that no houses reported burned stat going by keeping that fire where it is. They've also been wetting the grass there just beyond where you see that smoke and charred earth to try to keep it contained. The good news, we're told, is that the winds are less volatile than they were earlier this afternoon, so they have a little bit more cooperation at this point, I should say. And we are seeing some attacks from the air on the fire as well. I'm gonna have my photographer follow me because we are expecting to get a press conference right now to learn some more of the up-to-date information from PIOs here on scene, both from Boulder Police and Boulder Fire. Looks like they're getting ready right now, so I will go get the microphone where you can hear.
Heading there to set up the microphone. We know we have been seeing a lot of Phos-Chek being dropped in the area. We haven't seen too many fire crews up in that ridgeline area, but we're sure that behind the white smoke that they are doing everything they can to knock down a lot of those flames we're seeing to continue to spread. Now, let's get over to Denver 7's Patrick Perez. Patrick, we know that evacuations are taking place in communities near the fire. We just learned that the El Dorado Springs area is no longer under pre-evacuation. It's now an evacuation, an official evacuation.
Yeah, and Byron, that also includes the Table Mesa and Martin Acres area, the CU Boulder South Campus, and the El Dorado Canyon State Park. Right now, I'm at the East Boulder Community Center. This is where people are coming who have been evacuated from their homes from some of those areas. We have multiple cars here, people with their pets, their families, entering this community center to get more information and resources as to kind of what's going on here next. You see some people standing out here looking off into the distance, and that is where this NCAR fire is located.
Okay, Patrick, thank you for that report there. We will be sure to check back in with you right now, but officials are holding a presser right now. Let's go ahead and tune in where Rob Harris is.
Nearby, Table Mesa area on the eastern side of South Boulder, and also El Dorado Canyon.
What is the neighborhood right behind us?
This neighborhood right down here is the Table Mesa neighborhood, and the part that was evacuated is the southeastern section of that neighborhood.
We can see what appears to be fire crews spraying near those homes. Can you kind of describe what they're up against and what they're doing near what appears to be the fire line right now?
Right, correct. So below the slurry line, we have some firefighters that are working wet line along that fire in order to protect structures if the fire does move in that direction.
Are we worried that it might get to these homes? I mean, it's moving pretty quickly.
Right now, because the wind has died down, we're doing everything we can to keep structures safe and protect as much as we can. We have the fire departments here to help us with that, and because of that, we can make those wet lines. So we're doing that as a precautionary measure.
Do you know if there was any bit of this response that is basically different from when the Marshall Fire happened a couple months ago? Anything like protocols that changed that you guys rolled out this time around?
At this time, no, I don't believe there's anything different from this response.
For folks who are already evacuated, where can they go?
The East Boulder Community Center is the evacuation center right now.
And you say we've evacuated 1,200 so far?
That was how many people got notified via our Everbridge, and this general area has been notified also for WEA in order to make sure we got everyone out if we could. We also want to make sure that folks know to go to the Boulder Police Twitter and to the Boulder OEM website for all additional information if they're curious about evacuation routes, where to go, and updates on the fire from there as well.
What's your sense of when people might be able to return to their homes?
We don't know that at this time.
Any reported injuries?
No reported injuries at this time.
Were hikers in the area?
Yes, we had hikers in the area, and they also would have gotten a WEA alert on their phones to ask them to leave as well, and park rangers assisted in that effort.
So they were all safely able to evacuate?
I can't confirm that they were all evacuated, and I don't believe that we're looking for anyone at this time.
Is it known if the fire is growing right now?
I do not know. We believe it's at 60 acres and 0% containment, which would imply that it could grow.
What's the strategy in containing the fire right now, especially as we still have some winds picking up?
Right now, because the winds aren't so strong, we'll keep trying to drop slurry if we can, if we have the available resources, and we have those firefighters down at the fire, making sure that there is a safe line, and we're going to work on containment as long as we
What words do we
can.
have for the community tonight? I mean, a lot of us are just still reeling with the Marshall Fire that devastated so many people here. What words do we have for them tonight?
I think Boulder knows it's a pretty tough town and very resilient, and for folks right now, they probably want information, and so going to the OEM website, police Twitter, and the evacuation centers for that information and support while we're making sure that we can get this fire contained.
And as of right now, is there any reported structure damage at all?
I have not heard of any reported structure damage at this time.
You mentioned two neighborhoods, El Dorado and Table Mesa. Do we have any other neighborhoods that might be in the crosshairs of this fire?
I don't believe so at this time.
Is there anything you want people who've been evacuated to know?
I think what we've already said, the community center to go there for additional information, and also to the OEM website and to keep an eye on Boulder Twitter. Great, I think that's it for now. Thank you so much. We'll let you know when we have more information to share. Thank you.
Okay, some important information there. 0% contained. Fire is still believed to be growing. Right now it's at 60 acres. We're going to head back to Denver 7's Patrick Perez. Patrick, you were just telling us about the evacuation site you're at. We know multiple communities have been evacuated for about 2 hours now. Have you been seeing folks show up?
Oh yeah, just as you were talking to me now, we saw another car show up here. There are multiple cars here with their families, their pets. I want to show you again, like what we were trying to show you earlier. People kind of standing outside of their cars, watching this fire and the smoke billow here at the East Boulder Community Center. This is 5660 Sioux Drive here in Boulder. This is where you need to go, or you're welcome to come if you have nowhere else to go and you have been evacuated. And Dalton, the photographer, he's pointing out now that fire out into distance, the NCAR fire that we're reporting on here. You can see it all the way here from this evacuation center. To kind of talk again about which areas have been evacuated, they include Table Mesa, Martin Acres areas, the CU Boulder South Campus, the El Dorado Canyon State Park, and now also the El Dorado Springs area. So we're talking about big neighborhoods here where people live. Just hours ago, as we were trying to get up to the staging area for the media to cover this fire, we saw traffic at a standstill as so many drivers kept leaving their neighborhoods trying to get somewhere safely and away from the flames here. The traffic was kind of stuck in that area for probably about an hour or so. It's cleared up in just about the past 30 minutes, but honestly, it's just kind of a display of people just trying to get out of the area as quickly as possible. We also saw people watering their lawns. They're making sure that they were wet in case for some reason an ember or something like that somehow comes across their lawn there. Hopefully this extra moisture will kind of damp it out in a way. But it was just honestly heartbreaking to see people packing up everything that they owned, what they could put in their cars, and get out of their homes as quickly as possible to get away from this fire. I think we're all feeling on the edge right right now, especially with the Marshall Fire having happened so recently, just in December. It's a dry day today. It's a windy day today. It almost seems again like this perfect storm, but hopefully at some point tonight we can get this fire under control by it.
Are still on edge, even if they're not being pre-evacuated because of the Marshall Fire, as you mentioned there. Patrick, thank you. We'll check back with you in a few minutes. Let's go ahead and bring in meteorologist Stacey Donaldson now to give us some more perspective on this fire. Stacey, we know in some of those earlier pictures we saw, that smoke wasn't going straight up. It was going diagonal, left, right. Those winds are a huge factor here.
Definitely, and it's been windy all afternoon. They are starting to die down now, and just as Patrick was saying, this is from our Weston camera at the Weston in Westminster. You can see the smoke from miles away, and so we've been keeping on top of this as we've been watching this fire burn for the last few hours. It's located here to the west of 93 out toward NCAR, so that's the location of the fire, but the winds, they're coming in from the northwest down to the southeast. So unfortunately, they are the winds are headed in the direction of the neighborhoods that they've evacuated, which is why they have. And as you see here, those winds are coming straight out of the foothills down to the southeast across the area. And we've had 29-mile-an-hour winds here gusting for the last half hour or so, and sustained winds are a little bit lower than that. Now you remember during the Marshall Fire, we had winds around 80 to 100 miles an hour. So this is not on the same level, but still those winds, they're compressing, they're heating up, they're blowing out of the mountains and really keeping our temperatures very warm. Temperatures today in the 70s, close to 80 degrees. We still have 70s here for the Front Range all the way up into Boulder. And as for our humidity levels, they're very low, right around 12%, not only for Denver, but into Boulder as well. So this entire area very dry, as Patrick was mentioning, that people are wetting down their lawns just to make sure that there's just some moisture there on their grass. So we're keeping a close eye on this, but definitely it's the low humidity levels, the high temperatures, and also these gusty winds that have contributed to this fire spreading out. So hopefully with the winds dying down here in the last half hour or so, we're going to start to get a handle on this fire.
Die down sooner rather than later. Stacey, thank you so much. All right, we're going to go ahead and check back in with Denver 7's Rob Harris. He was right there set up for the press conference a few miles away from the fire. Rob, we're learning, as you telling us earlier, fire 0% contained. Fire crews are along the ridge line there behind the smoke. What are we learning in terms of the efforts right now?
Yeah, well, I think Stacey just hit on a really important part of this, which is the wind, which earlier today was very sporadic and a lot heavier and more sustained. That was causing a lot of problems. The wind has died down a little bit. You might be able to hear on my microphone, there is still a wind here, so it's less but still present, and that's why we have the firefighters on scene. 50 firefighters, I was told, are on scene just below me, and I'll step out of the way so you can kind of see what they're working on right now. You have them with their hoses, wetting down the grass, especially around that neighborhood, to try to keep that 0 reported homes burned statistic. That's really important to them. Right now, there are no reported homes or other structures that have been burned. But you can see them against that ridge line, the fire line, I should say, and you can also see that red line on the grass there just behind them. That's what they call slurries. So that's when you see the planes going overhead dropping that fire retardant, that is that slurry that is keeping it as contained as possible. We're not seeing as large of flames as we were seeing maybe like half hour ago. You can still definitely see the flames, but they're a little bit lower to the ground than they were before when we were seeing them basically even taller than the trees at some point. So a lot of the message from this press conference is that things are looking a little bit better than they were maybe as of an hour ago, but they're keeping a close watch. They say that the mid to late afternoon tends to be the hardest time for firefighters, and that tends to be the time when the fires can gain the most ground quickly. So they're hoping that as we get closer to nightfall, they can keep the fire at least where it is and maybe build more on that 0% contained. But as you said, Bayan, right now, 60 acres burned, about 0% containment.
Rob, really appreciate it. Stay safe out there. And we will go ahead and continue our coverage of the NCAR fire here on air, and you can also find all of our coverage on our website, thedenverchannel.com. Stick with us. We'll be right back.